Welcome back to another delicious episode of Rounds of the Knight's Table. I'm Jim.
I am Eric.
Today we're going to talk about Venom. Eddie Brock from the neighborhood is out west to avoid conflict and licensing with Disney and the Avengers, obviously, and also to mess up his girlfriend's career, just simply by browsing through her emails, while trying to bring down the evil Drake, not the one from Toronto, who is like a mad scientist. He brings back the symbiotes so that we could study them. Eddie's kind of been up this dude's ass from the get because he's got some questionable ethics, and then a scientist tips him off about what's going on. And the scientist and Eddie easily get into the lab, top secret lab, with just one guard in it, no cameras. That's when Eddie would meet Venom, and we would be treated to an adequate movie. Talk about the good. This movie, I had no hopes for.
I was worried about it after seeing the trailers, and as a big webhead myself, I like Venom. I like Venom as a character. He
Love Venom
has
as a character.
Very good, I don't want to say complex, but
well, I mean,
he is
besides the fact that he eats
character.
people. But it exceeded my expectations.
I was pleasantly surprised how good it was.
I thought that Venom was funny. He'd get hungry, and, only Eddie could hear him, and he's like, hungry! Earlier in the movie, his neighbor's got the music going off, and Eddie's like, he can't sleep or anything. He's like, hey, man, can you just turn down the music? And he's like, whatever. And then his face, he's like, those were the lighter moments in this movie. Tom Hardy was Tom Hardy.
Not as strong of an accent as I was expecting.
I thought he was going to sound like he was from 1950s Brooklyn.
Right.
I'm glad it's not New York again because New York's got enough problems. They just had to deal with, Thanos.
It's nice to see Venom in a new area.
If I lived in San Francisco, I wouldn't be happy to see Venom in my neighborhood. I'd be like, oh, there it goes.
Well, the fight scenes were actually pretty good, too. Like Riot. I really liked his arm axes.
CGI wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Let's talk about the bad. Bad guy was boring, predictable. The main bad guy, the scientist.
The scientist, yeah. The Riot part was good.
Who, walked back from Malaysia. To me, that kind of stuff, the way he was just, kind of lackadaisical. I was like, oh, it's one of those bad guys. I felt Michelle Williams was wasted.
There wasn't a whole lot with her. I expected more from that. They were engaged in the beginning. As soon as this happened, took off the ring, gave it back to him. It says 6 months later or something. And this chick is already with another guy, acting like she don't care about Eddie anymore. There's no closure or anything. She cuts off all communication with him, just cold turkey.
Well, fucking sit down and watch The Notebook if that's what you're looking for. Looking for a love story, sit down and watch that. Move along with that bullshit. This movie didn't Venom until a half hour into the movie, at least. I thought that this movie was too science-y. We watched Ant-Man and the Wasp, which was another movie where I was like,
a lot of science.
And they scienced you, but they didn't science you to death. I'm not a scientist. So I don't understand all that stuff. Anyway.
I am really glad that they changed it from symbiote in the trailer to symbiote.
Well, when you get trolled by Marvel.
So one of the things I didn't particularly like calling the Daily Bugle the Daily Globe.
To me, this movie was just another generic, I don't want to say superhero movie, but anti-hero movie.
It's kind of like it was following the Deadpool code.
Yes, and I think that had it more fuller gone that direction, been an R-rated movie.
For Venom, you probably need
the rating held it back. I know that this movie's had success, and hell, Ghost Rider got a sequel, and so this probably will, but I don't see it expanding past 2 movies. They just don't have the formula to succeed, especially based upon that post-credit. Woody Harrelson. Which I knew Carnage was going to show up, and I'm glad that they didn't waste him in the movie.
I'm really glad they didn't have the actual Carnage symbiote in the movie. I figured they'd have Cassidy in there. I didn't think they would go that route, and I wish they wouldn't have.
I thought it was a poor casting choice. Not that I don't love Woody Harrelson, but how many bad wigs are we going to stuff this man into?
It looked like they got a Party City or Walmart clown costume and just took the wig out.
My final thought. It's certainly not Green Lantern. It's just kind of there. I felt like this movie would have been a good movie in the early 2000s.
If it had come in around the same time as the X-Men franchise.
Especially X-Men 3.
We don't talk about that.
It's the second best Venom movie we got of 2018 because Upgrade, I thought, was...
It was definitely the best.
I mean, hell, it still even had discount Tom Hardy in it.
Yeah, Riot.
Yeah, Riot.
So we see Riot come out the shuttle, and he attaches himself to the EMT, and hitches a ride. So throughout the whole movie, the whole Drake bad guy thing, he's trying to find hosts for the symbiotes, and he can't find a match for any of them. You know, the host always dies, and they always immediately get sick or something, but Riot is going through bodies like crazy. That annoyed me, because they made such a big deal out of not being able to match these things.
They spent the first half of that movie, the first act of that movie, that's what that was geared toward. With that, how would you score said film?
Post-credit carnage aside, I would score it around an 8.6.
8.6. I didn't have the same sentiments that you did. And again, this movie was just okay, and it wasn't anything bad. A 6. A flat 6 out of 10 for me. If you like the video, hit that subscribe, hit those likes. And we'll check you out next time, only on Rounds of the Night's Table.
Walked halfway back, flew the rest of the way in a tiny girl.
Flew halfway back into a tiny girl. Sounds like he needs to be registering on a sex offenders list tonight.